The building was silent in that heavy, hollow way that only exists after midnight, when ambition sleeps but pressure never does. On the 42nd floor of a glass tower glowing over the city, a single mistake was bleeding $100 million by the hour, and no one at the top knew how to stop it. Executives had argued all evening. Analysts had stared themselves blind at screens of red lines and collapsing graphs, and hope had thinned into something fragile and embarrassed. That was the moment when a janitor, pushing a mop under fluorescent lights, unknowingly stepped into history. Before the story goes any further, pause for a second. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that brilliance can come from the most unexpected places, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this exist because people still believe in humanity. He was a single father long before he was invisible. Life had narrowed him into routines built around survival, waking before dawn to pack lunches, working 2 shifts so his daughter could sleep in a warm bed, studying quietly at night after she fell asleep, textbooks borrowed and outdated, dreams folded away like old letters. He wore a janitor's uniform not because he lacked intelligence, but because the world rarely stops to ask how much a tired man knows. In the company's headquarters, he blended into the background, moving silently between offices, wiping away fingerprints from glass walls where million-dollar decisions were made by people who had never learned his name. That night, the company was unraveling. A critical system error had frozen automated trading algorithms, triggering a cascade of losses that grew more catastrophic by the minute. Engineers had been flown in. Consultants were pacing hallways with coffee-stained confidence. The CEO herself stood in a conference room lit by giant screens, her face tight, eyes locked on numbers that refused to turn green. Every second was expensive. Every solution proposed had already failed. The janitor had been cleaning that floor for months. He had memorized the rhythm of the company without meaning to. The rise and fall of stress, the way people spoke faster when they were afraid, the screens they stared at when things went wrong. He understood systems because systems had once been his life. Years ago, before everything fell apart, he had studied applied mathematics and computer science. He had been good, frighteningly good. But talent does not protect you from tragedy. When his wife passed suddenly, the future he had planned collapsed into hospital bills, funeral costs, and a small hand clutching his, asking questions he could barely answer. So he took the job no one noticed, because it paid fast and didn't ask questions. And still, he kept learning. While others slept, he read articles, watched lectures, followed market models, studied algorithmic failures like someone studying a map back to themselves. He never expected to use that knowledge here. He only expected to survive. As he wiped down a whiteboard outside the glass-walled conference room, his eyes drifted to the equations scrawled across it in frantic handwriting. They were half solutions, patched ideas, temporary fixes layered on top of a deeper flaw. The problem wasn't the algorithm's speed or the data feed, as everyone assumed. It was a recursive feedback loop amplifying noise instead of filtering it out. A basic conceptual mistake, subtle but deadly. He froze, mop in hand. His heart pounded, not with ambition but with fear. People like him didn't interrupt rooms like that. People like him were told to come back later. But as another notification flashed across the screens inside, the loss counter jumping higher, something heavier than fear settled in him, responsibility. He thought of his daughter asleep at home, of the nights he had told her that doing the right thing mattered even when no one was watching. He didn't burst in, he didn't raise his voice. He quietly wrote on the corner of the whiteboard, adjusting a single variable, redrawing the loop so it dampened instead of amplified. It took seconds. Then he stepped back, heart racing, and returned to his cot. Inside the room, someone noticed, then another. Silence spread as eyes followed the equations, confusion melting into realization. The CEO stared at the board, then at the screens, then back again. Commands were given. Code was adjusted, the system rebooted, the bleeding stopped. In less than a minute, the losses flattened, then stabilized, then reversed. $100 million, saved not by brilliance, shouted from the table, but by insight, scribbled quietly from the hallway. Security was called first, because disbelief often wears the mask of authority. The janitor was escorted back, confusion etched across his face, but when the CEO looked at him, something shifted. She didn't see a uniform. She saw clarity under pressure. She saw humility paired with competence. She saw a mirror of the values the company claimed to stand for but rarely practiced. What happened next shocked everyone. Instead of thanking him privately and sending him back to work, she did something radical. She called an emergency company-wide meeting. Thousands of employees watched as the janitor stood on a stage usually reserved for quarterly earnings and corporate victories. His hands trembled. His voice wasn't needed. The story spoke for itself. The CEO spoke not of profits, but of blindness. She admitted that the company had nearly destroyed itself by ignoring the people who didn't fit their idea of importance. She explained how a man they walked past every day had saved them all, not by chance, but by preparation no one bothered to notice. Then she offered him a job on the spot, not a token role, not a publicity stunt. A senior position leading system integrity and risk modeling, with a salary that would change his life overnight. Education support, flexible hours, a future. The room erupted, not in polite applause, but in something rawer. People were crying. People were standing. For once, a corporate miracle felt human. But the most powerful moment didn't happen there. It happened later that night, when he went home and told his daughter that things were going to be okay. That the world had finally seen him, that kindness and persistence hadn't been wasted after all. As the weeks passed, the company changed in ways spreadsheets couldn't measure. Executives started listening more. Employees felt seen, hiring practices shifted, and a story spread, not about $100 million saved, but about the cost of ignoring potential. If this story is touching something inside you, if it reminds you of your own unseen efforts or someone you love who keeps going without recognition, take a moment now to engage. Like the video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe so stories like this continue to be told. Before we end, I have one special request. Please comment below with a single word that describes how this story made you feel. Those words matter more than you know. Because somewhere right now, someone is cleaning floors, stocking shelves, working nights, carrying knowledge the world hasn't asked for yet. And one day, when preparation meets courage, their moment will come too.